We have been discussing basically the MOSFET. Have you seen the website? Did you get an email from me? No? On your IIT Delhi accounts? You have some IIT Delhi account, right? So you should have got an email from me on that account last night. Okay, anyway, hopefully you have got the email. Huh? No, you can access your email account. Yes. Huh? On your IIT Delhi email account. It's not there. Okay. Anyway, so I'll have to figure out what's going on. You have registered, right? Your name is on your roll number is on the registration list. You have registered? So you should be getting an email. Anyway, so far we have been talking about the MOSFET, and we kind of understood, hand waving understood, not quantitative. I don't want to do quantitative at all, because once you get into quantitative, it's a whole new course by itself, and you know what, there's no end to it. Okay, because as the processes are evolving, these quantities are changing. So there's no point to it. We are going to treat the MOSFET as a black box with a coarse understanding of what is happening inside it. And as far as the coarse understanding, we have understood two things. One is the switch action, which is very easy to understand. Okay, so you don't have to press any button, anything. You apply a voltage, it switches on. You remove the voltage, it switches off. Right? That's the NMOS. For the PMOS, it's exactly the opposite. You apply the voltage, it switches off. You remove the voltage, it switches on. This is one action that we have understood. I haven't talked about the PMOS at all, but hopefully it's the same thing, with holes instead of electrons and electrons instead of holes. The second thing is action as a voltage controlled current source. Now, when I say voltage controlled current source, it's not a linear voltage controlled current source. Okay, like the ones we talked about earlier, when we talked about circuit theory, we talked about a linear voltage controlled voltage source, voltage controlled current source. This need not be linear. It's some voltage control and it's some current source. So how much the current is, it's not very clear. It's just that the current is controlled by the voltage. We don't know any exact relationship between the current and the voltage. But we know that the current is controlled by the voltage. That's all. That's all you need to know. That the current is controlled by the voltage. What this relationship is immaterial. Okay? Textbooks will tell you that this relationship is some square law. Doesn't matter. Right? So these are this is the crude understanding of the MOSFET. Now, when I really talk about this, I'm writing ID now, because ID is the same as IS. It looks somewhat like this for different as VGS increases, the characteristic changes. Now, this flat region, do you think it's absolutely flat? Can it be wavy instead of flat? it cannot be wavy. Why not? It cannot be a negative resistance. If you increase the voltage, the current is bound to increase, it cannot decrease. Okay? Why? Because if it does decrease, then that kind of means that this is going to eventually generate power. Okay? If you do the calculations, etc., this device will start generating power. So it can't go down, it can't be wavy. It can either remain flat, which is very idealistic, or it can go up slightly. Okay? Now, so what I am saying is that the way I have drawn it, it's not exactly right. What you will get is something like this. Can the slope change? So it's very clear that the slope of this line, the red line, is going to be positive. The slope has got to be positive. Can the slope change? Sure. Right? It's already changing. I mean, as a function of VDS, if you look, it's already changing from one slope to another slope. Changing a little bit more can be possible. In any case, this change, this transition from this region to this region is not like a piecewise linear function. Okay? It's not an abrupt transition from this one region to another. Okay? Nothing in nature is abrupt. Okay? It's going to be a gradual function, gradual change. So when I talked about the physics, I said that there are no more holes, now the electrons start coming. It's not really that clear cut. Okay, it's not that clear cut. After some holes leave, maybe now slowly electrons will start trickling in. Okay? So it's not that clear cut, and this slope transition is not abrupt. Nothing in nature is abrupt. Right? So the slope can change. So the slope of ID as a function of VDS can change. After a certain point, the slope is going to be small or large? Small. After a certain point, the slope is going to become small. Alright? If I had zero slope, then what would that mean? It's an ideal current source. Thank you. So if I had absolutely zero slope, it would have been an ideal current source. There's no such thing as an ideal current source. So what is this? An ideal current source? Infinite output resistance is an ideal current source. Finite output resistance. Okay? So this is basically in this region. I am now talking about this region. It's a current source with finite output resistance. Or in other words, you can say that it's a current source in parallel with a resistance. The current source in shunt with a resistor. What's the value of this resistor? Infinite is if it's ideal. Now what is the value for the red curve? Delta VDS by delta ID. Fantastic. Does everyone agree? It's correct, yes. No, I'm trying to get a heads up from everyone else. Agreed? Anyone who doesn't see why what I'm talking about? So consider this small thing, this current source in shunt with a resistor. If I increase the voltage, then if the resistor was not there, the current consumed would be the same. What am I plotting here? I am plotting this current as a function of the voltage. Okay? If the resistor over there was infinite, basically the resistor is not there, then if I plot the current as a function of the voltage, I would get a straight line parallel to the x-axis. If the resistor is not there. You following? Sure? Okay. Now if the resistor is there, then what happens? This I that I have written is really this I plus this I. So I1 plus I2. I1 is this straight line that I have drawn. And I2 is how much? I2 is V by R. So I2 is this. This is V by R. Right? So net effect would be I1 plus I2, which is this thing. Okay? As I make R larger and larger, this thing becomes flatter and flatter. The slope becomes smaller and smaller. So the slope of this curve is resistance 1 by resistance. Okay, so if I draw the curve, if I draw these red curves, if I give you a graph paper, I give you these red curves drawn, and I ask you what is the output resistance, then it's very straightforward. You just compute the slope at any given point, at the point that I want you to talk, that I want you to compute the resistance. You find out the slope. 1 by that slope is the output resistance. Okay? So the model, as far as the current goes, as far as ID goes, the model is something that looks like this. Okay, it's a current source in shunt with a resistor. Right? Now this current source, the value of this current source is voltage controlled. So it's a voltage controlled current source in shunt with a resistor. What voltage is controlling this current source? The value of this VGS is controlling this. Okay. So my model, the basic model for the MOSFET is basically something that looks like this. It's a voltage controlled current source. Okay, this current, the value of this current is being controlled by the gate to source voltage in an arbitrary fashion. Maybe linear, maybe non-linear, we don't care. As far as this course is concerned, it's not important. Can it go down if I increase gate to source voltage? Can the current go down? No. Okay. For the same reasons as before. So it's going to increase. When I increase the gate to source voltage, this current is clearly going to increase, but otherwise we don't know any other quantitative relationship. Okay, you learn these relationships in your MOSFET class, in your microelectronics or whichever class is talking about the MOSFET. Okay, not in this one. As far as I am concerned, I'll give you the relationship that I need you to use in the homework problem or in the exam or wherever, right? And you are going to use that particular relationship to solve that particular problem. If we are talking about simulation, then this relationship is built into the simulator, into the model of the MOSFET that you use for your exercise. Okay? So it's not of too much concern what this relationship is between the gate to source voltage and this controlled current source. What about the resistor? Is the value of the resistor constant? No, we talked about it before, right? The slope is not constant. The slope is changing over, as VDS changes, the slope changes. As VGS changes, also the slope changes. Okay? So this model is fine, but this resistor is going to change. Let me call this capital RDS. Yes. Right. Yes. No. From what I didn't understand. Well, we already know. I mean, if you're talking about electric field, you already know the physics. So that means that you already know that when VGS increases, current is going to increase. So, what's the problem? Are you talking about a PMOS? Okay. As VGS decreases, ID decreases. That is clear. Okay, assuming that the body is fixed. We don't want to know. I'm not interested. Okay, that's fine. We know something. We know the basic physics of how this works. I need you to know some kind of basic physics, how this works. I don't want you to get into the quantitative relationships as far as this class is concerned. Okay, because as an analog designer, I need to evolve from process to process. I need to evolve from technology to technology. These things change. Okay, as processes change, these relationships will change. So that's why I'm not interested. I want you to be able to use the device no matter what the relationship is. Okay? Maybe this is not going to be a MOSFET at the end of the day. Maybe you are going to use an LDMOS. You will say that no, I didn't learn about the LDMOS. I learned only about the MOSFET, so I won't use the LDMOS. No. I want you to pick up general principles that are applicable no matter what the precise device is. I mean, we don't need to know the inner workings of the device that much beyond a point. Some general idea is good enough. Yeah. No, that's not the value of the device. From this picture that I have drawn, from this model that I have drawn, the value of this current source is when VD is equal to VDS is equal to this I. This is the total I, right? And this is the current going into the current source. So these two are equal when VDS is equal to, huh? Where is VT coming from? RDS is infinity or RDS is not infinity. So then VDS is 0. So this relationship is true only when VDS is 0. From this model. Okay. So the value of the current source is the current taken when VDS is 0. Otherwise, this is a very crude model, so don't worry too much about it. Okay, also this is a large signal model. RDS value changes as VDS changes and VGS changes. It's the slope. Good question. We'll talk about this later. I think you are right. It doesn't matter, okay? Right now it doesn't matter whether it's absolute quantity or not, right? Because maybe you are right. I don't want to worry about it. I want to move on from here because this is hardly the point. Okay? So the point that I want to carry across here is that RDS changes as things change. This relationship between the gate to source voltage and the control current source also changes as different points as your VGS and VDS change. Okay? So it's a big mess. Right? It's some kind of a controlled current source in shunt with a resistor that you can understand, but beyond that it's a big mess. Agreed? Alright. Now we'll have to refine this model. The first thing that you have to understand is that we need to get rid of this variability. Okay? So for this we talk about something called superposition. Have you heard of superposition before? No? So principle of superposition. Shaking head means no. Okay. So we are going to use something called superposition. So if I apply two different stimuli to the same circuit, okay, then the net result is going to be, first I apply one stimuli, see what the result is, then I apply the second stimuli, I null the first stimuli, apply the second stimuli and see what the result is. The net effect is the sum of these two results. Okay, this is the principle of superposition. The principle of superposition works only when circuit is linear. Circuit is made up of linear elements. Okay, that's the only condition, that's the precondition, that circuit has to be made up of linear elements, then the principle of superposition will work. Now our circuit, the MOSFET, is not made up of a linear element. Okay, but we are going to force linearity on it by saying that we are going to make only small changes. Okay. So here I am going to invoke Taylor series. Do you remember Taylor series? Taylor expansion? F of x no x okay, you remember this is a age old mathematical relationship. Now if I say this is valid no matter what the function is, no matter what x is, what x naught is, this is valid, okay. But if I say that x is a small quantity, if I say that x is a very small quantity, then what's going to happen? Then I can throw out all the terms starting from here. I can just throw out all of this, and I can say that since x is a small quantity, this expression is approximately equal to yes. If I assume, I want to throw out all the other terms. That's why I am going to assume for x is equal. Fine, I agree. I agree. This is okay? Let's not jump too far. Is this okay so far? Right? So this is going to be our assumption. This is going to be our way to impose linearity on this entire MOSFET. We are going to use, relax. This is going to be our strategy, that we are going to use Taylor series, and we are going to say that x is a small quantity. We are going to use some slopes here and there. F dash of x naught seems like it's a slope, right? And we are going to end up with whatever we want, hopefully. Let's see what I'm talking about here. So first of all, f of x plus x naught is approximately equal to, what did I write over there? F of x naught. This is what I've written, right? Now, suppose this is my curve, horrible looking curve, but it doesn't matter what the curve is. Okay. Also suppose that VDS is the only variable here. Okay. Now, suppose my f is basically IT as a function of VDS. Okay, that is the function I'm trying to describe, and suppose this is x naught. VDS 0. Okay, and I want to find the value of I at a small perturbation around VDS 0. So suppose I apply VDS 0 in the lab, I measure the current, and then I want to know what is going to be the current when I apply VDS 0 plus a very small voltage. Okay, how small voltage I won't tell you. A very small voltage, arbitrarily small voltage. Then how will you give me the answer? You will say that whatever small voltage you have applied, that is x. So my question is, I go to the lab, I measure IT0 as a function at a given voltage VDS0, I measure ID0. Okay, this is what I do in the lab. Then I ask you that I am going to apply VDS0 plus a small voltage written in small hand. Okay, so the large voltage is written in capital hand, small voltage is written in small hand. Okay, this is standard notation. Okay, so things which I write in small hand are small quantities. So I apply a small voltage V. It's arbitrarily small. The question is, how much is IDS? Slope at that particular point. Is this okay? So this is my principle of superposition. I apply two separate sources, one which is the large signal VDS0 and one which is the small signal small v. These are the two separate stimuli that I am going to apply. Okay. The response to the large signal is ID0 and the response to the small signal is this quantity. Okay. So what was inside? If I now want to say that I want to draw just the small signal model of this circuit. So the large signal model, let's say you have your equation and you have understood what is the large signal model. Relationship between VDS0 and ID0 you have already understood, let's say. Okay? What's the relationship between the small voltage and the small current? This is the small current. Linear. So it's like a resistor. Okay? What is the value of the resistor? How much? 1 by the slope. Yeah. Thank you. Is that okay? So the small signal model is basically a tiny resistor, not a tiny resistor, a resistor of value 1 by dVDS by dID. Right? This is the small signal model. Now, this is not the end of the story, unfortunately. Okay? Unfortunately, VDS is not the only input here. Okay, the current will also vary as a function of VGS. So once again, suppose I have already computed this at a given VGS 0. First of all, let me modify my Taylor series equation. No, I'm not writing correctly, right? That's fine. No. Okay, we are now talking about partial derivatives because there are two variables, right? This is once again assuming that the small signals that we have applied, x and y, these small signals are small. Okay, this is the big assumption. How small? Arbitrarily small. Okay, if it's not small enough, make it smaller. How? It's not valid when it's big at all. If you make it any quantity which is which you can measure, it's no longer valid. Right? If you make it, if you say 1 millivolt, not valid. If you say 1 microvolt, not valid. It's valid only for infinitesimally small quantities. Otherwise, you have to take into account higher order terms of the Taylor series, which is impractical. Okay, we don't want to take into account higher order terms in the Taylor series. That's why we are doing this. Now, for hand calculations, or if you are interested in doing some engineering approximations and throwing out terms and then this is probably valid for any quantity which is like a millivolt, 10 millivolts. Depends on how much error you can tolerate. Right. So, am I clear? So depending on how much error you can tolerate, this small quantity can be as large as you want. Okay. So in that case, I need to modify my equation. Okay, I'm also going to go up and down on this curve. Okay, depending on how much small quantity I have added in terms of VGS. Okay, and in that case, okay, I'm now talking in terms of partial derivatives, and I hope this is understood. This is just an extension of the previous one. Alright, so once again, I would like to think of this as some kind of a superposition that I am doing. I first apply VDS 0, VGS 0. I see what the response is. That's my response. Then I remove VDS 0, VGS 0 altogether. I apply small VDS onto my small signal circuit model, okay, which is a different circuit. I'm going to apply small VDS, and the response to small VDS is going to be through this. I don't apply small VGS at all. I apply just small VDS, and the response to small VDS is through that resistive effect. Then I apply small VGS, and the response to small VGS is what? What is that? Yes, the third term. What is it? What kind of term? Transconductor. So we are talking about a voltage controlled current source. Okay, that's the kind of effect. Okay, so the net model, the small signal model, that we have arrived at looks somewhat like this. Notice that I have put everything in small hand. Okay? So this is my net small signal model. This small signal model has to be used in superposition with the large signal equation. That's your business. Okay? The small signal model is also valid only for arbitrarily small voltages, arbitrarily small inputs. Okay? How much error you can tolerate on top of that is your business. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to tell you. How much error can you tolerate? Are you willing to tolerate 100% error? Are you willing to tolerate 50% error? Are you willing to tolerate 1% error? What is your tolerance? So depending on that, you'll see what your upper limit is. That's not a current, that's a resistor. It's not a current source, it's a resistor. Okay, the value of this resistance is equal to 1 by at the given point. Okay, and the value of this GM is so if I give you the equations at the exam or in your homework, if I give you the equation, that large signal equation that describes the MOSFET, you can figure out what is the value of GM, what is the value of that resistance. No, they are not the same. Units are the same, yes. 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 Here, that's right. That's exactly right. So here we are talking about it as a controlled source because VGS is the input and the result is some kind of a current. Okay, on IDS. So you are changing VGS, you are getting a result in IDS, so it's a controlled current source. In the other one, you are changing VDS, you are getting a change on IDS, which means it's some kind of a resistor. Yeah, some kind of a resistor. Yes. This is the output side. Yes. I didn't understand. Absolute value of VDS. Large signal, yes. So RDS is controlled by everything. This is correct. It's also controlled by V. I mean, come on. Here the slope changes as I go up and down, right? Even if it doesn't change, it could change potentially. Okay. So this is my crude small signal model for the MOSFET. If I apply small signals to it, then this is going to be the result. Small signals on top of a known large signal. So I first apply the large signal. I go to the lab, apply the large signal, I measure what is IDS. Right? Then apply the small signals on top of the large signal, and I know what is going to be the result based on this. Right? Now, this applying the large signal, this large signal is called the bias point. This VDS0, VGS0 this is called the bias point. So you bias the transistor, you bias the MOSFET by applying certain voltages. Okay? Or you could also bias the MOSFET by applying a certain current. Okay, you apply IDS0, you need not apply VDS0 and VGS0, they will happen automatically, probably. Okay, you force a certain current to go through the MOSFET, that's going to bias the MOSFET, it will set up VDS0 and VGS0 for you, and then you do the rest. Then you apply the small signal on top of the large signal. Okay, so we can do it in two ways. You can apply the voltage, you can apply the current. Okay? In any case, are there any more variables to this? So the MOSFET, are there any other interesting things that you need to know? Body. Otherwise? No, let's not talk about capacitance. Is there anything else? Any other voltage and current relationship that you need to know? No, assuming everything. This is valid everywhere. This is valid for every device that you make as long as the gate current is 0. Okay? So the gate current is 0. If you say that the gate current is not 0, then we will have to figure out yet another output quantity. The gate current will be another output quantity. Okay? For the MOSFET, the gate current is 0 or approximately 0, which means that the gate current doesn't figure in our equations at all. Alright? As long as you make sure of that, this is valid in all regions of operation, this is valid for any kind of device, MOS, LED MOS, FinFET, everything. Okay? So it's valid under all conditions. So, yes, the body. How is the body going to play a role? Look over here. Look at this. So now I'll have a third variable, which means what will I get? comma VBS0. Okay, that's all. So as far as the body is concerned, this is the only effect. Okay, what is this? It's a voltage controlled current source. Yes. Yes. You could. Now let me tell you something over here. What is a good current source? Infinite resistance. What is a good voltage source? Zero resistance. Now you can convert this into a voltage controlled voltage source, no problem, but that resistance is still going to be RDS, which is going to be a large quantity. So it's going to be a horrible voltage controlled voltage source. Okay? So that's why we describe this as a voltage controlled current source, because we know beforehand that RDS is large. So it's more suited to be a voltage controlled current source. You can do Thevenin transformation, no problem. So as far as the body is concerned, this is just going to add one more element, okay, to the linear small signal model. Alright, so we'll stop here. Let's continue from here on Tuesday. Thank you.